Boys, Manchester Derby. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, that is Brad. He supports Chelsea. Down below is Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. The intro says it all, boys. This is the Manchester Derby. Not the biggest fixture in England, but still two big, very big clubs now. Two fan bases that don't like each other very much. This is from Old Trafford, which is falling apart. You know, what else could we ask for in this one? What do you how are you feeling about this one from the outset, Brad?
Manchester United is going to come in and dominate. They're going to take back the Field of Dreams. I'm kidding. I am 100% kidding.
I knew
that sounded really good too, right?
I knew you were
felt
trolling.
The belief.
No, any adroit listener to this podcast who's listened for more than 5 minutes knows that this is a Manchester United hating podcast, and the only person who gets any semblance of support towards Manchester United is me. I am the resident United apologist. You just troll United.
I do. It's one of my favorite pastimes. All right, so it is a derby, so form doesn't matter. Whether your team is terrible matters a little bit, but not as much because you're up for the game because it's United City. I mean, shoot, Ruben has been like, he's trying to get his ideas across to players that don't want to play his ideas. So I don't know. Bruno can always hit a crazy goal. Without Erling Haaland, like, are City going to struggle as much?
That is
like with their goal scoring.
I forgot that Haaland is out for the rest of the domestic season.
The domestic season. Don't hate on that Club World Cup. That extra free money for next year's books. Yeah, no, I mean, City probably pulled this one out, but I think it's going to be a better game than what we think it is.
Sean?
I kind of push. I'm going to push back, not so much on the game, that this is a big game or a big rivalry. United fans largely just don't care about City. They have other rivals in the Premier League, and it's kind of, to me, it feels more like Washington and Dallas in the NFL, where the teams have been good at the same time, maybe 5 times in the last 30 years. So is it really a rivalry? Not like one team really cares a whole bunch about it, and then the other one really doesn't. Right now, I think maybe City fans care about this a little bit more. Maybe right now United fans care a little bit more because they're lower on the table. But City fans probably haven't really looked at this and really cared about this game other than rivalry in a long time, because they just beat the mess out of United twice a year for a long time.
I generally take your point that I think if you polled a Manchester United supporter and you asked them the teams
who's your rival,
who's your rival, they would all say Liverpool. And
then say Liverpool.
I think they would say Liverpool and Arsenal are probably the bigger draws for them. But at the same time, I think that for City fans, they want to continue to show out and prove that City are a bigger club than United, that City rule Manchester, and that the dominance of United is done and dusted, and it's never coming back. That's kind of that's how I feel the City supporters look at this, and I would agree with you that it's probably it's not United Liverpool. I freely give you that point. But I also think that United supporters would love to be able to get one over City, and they might look at this as like the year that they could do it, right? Like, this is the year that City are vulnerable to losing against Manchester United. Now, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Erik ten Hag did beat City 2 years ago at Old Trafford. I think it was like a game, it ended like 6-3 or something like that. Am I mistaken? Did that end the other way? I don't remember.
That sounds right.
I feel like Erik ten Hag beat Manchester City at some point.
Did he beat them in the cup?
Yeah, and
Well, in the FA
and I
Cup,
think,
they did win the FA Cup. That's true.
I think my point is that United fans want to win in the same way, Brad wants to beat Fulham or
Okay.
I want to beat West Ham. It's still a derby, and your fans still get up for it. But when that game's over, you're like, haha, you stink, and then you go back to what you were focusing on, and you don't. It's not. It's a blip in the radar. You're like, okay, it's a little derby for the little crosstown rival. And this is an outlier year. This is an outlier year, obviously, because United are having a historically bad season. So it's a little bit of an outlier, where this year it probably means a little bit more, because a win now would be really great.
I like your point about this game being an outlier, because traditionally we would say something like, well, we could turn our attention to the other half of the table at the bottom. We've got a relegation battle going on. But United are what, like 14th, 13th, something
13th,
like that?
13th.
Don't
worry.
Hey,
Sean,
I'm going to try
who's 14?
I'm going to try and pivot us towards the 17th versus 18th fixture, and it's not like Manchester United aren't sitting right around there. But we've got Ipswich versus Wolves, 18th versus 17th. Could in theory be an important match if Ipswich can win.
The battle of the two best players in the Premier League who will definitely not be on the same club the next year. This is the battle of Liam Delap, who will not be on Ipswich next year, and Matthias Cunha, who will not be on Wolverhampton next year.
Yeah.
I think can we all collectively agree that that's
1,000%.
probably going to be the case. Cunha's getting bought by somebody, and Delap's not getting relegated. So,
well, Delap might get relegated, but he's getting picked up.
He's not. No, he is not getting relegated.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's staying in the Premier League, or he's going to wherever.
I think he's staying in the Premier League. There's enough smoke around. I mean, how many big clubs need a center forward or need a striker, need an attacking player? He doesn't fit. He doesn't fit at Arsenal. Like he's not Arsenal's center forward. But
he's also scored 10 goals on this Ipswich team.
West Ham could use a center forward. I'm sure. Spurs could use one.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think this game gets a lot more interesting because like Cunha keeps crying, right? Like he started crying again. Like, I want to win trophies. I don't want to be here, even though he just signed an extension.
I think the extension,
we know contracts mean nothing, but
I think the extension had to have had a release clause in there.
100%, or he wouldn't have signed it.
Yeah,
100%.
It had to have been like, I want a £55 million release clause written in, and I'll resign, and that just protects both parties.
Right.
But yeah, I have a tendency to overrate Wolves and think that Wolves are better than they are. And so my brain and my heart are telling me that this shouldn't be close and that Wolves will handle their business and essentially relegate Ipswich with the victory. But I could be wrong.
Ipswich is getting the win. Yeah, Ipswich is getting the win. Let's go. Ipswich dub. Chelsea Cobham legend Omari Hutchinson is scoring the goal.
Cobham legend.
I just got word from behind the glass from our information department. You almost hit the nail on the head. It is a £62 million release clause for Matthias Cunha.
I think Chelsea need another winger. So,
hey, Mudrik's B sample still has not come back yet.
Yeah, what is going on there? That's something we need to get into at some point. But it's been like 8 months.
Yes, it's crazy.
Let's turn our attention to a Champions League, implications match. We have Aston Villa chasing Nottingham Forest, who are still in the Champions League spots. So, can Unai Emery get the job done, get 3 points on somebody that they're chasing?
You know what? Let's say yes. I'm down. Let's go, Unai. I want Unai. Unai can take 3 points from Forest. That'd be dope.
Oh, that's good because it's good for Chelsea.
It's good for Chelsea, of course.
Yeah.
Of course, that's why United is beating City, because it's good for Chelsea.
I'm disappointed in myself for not realizing that until now. that I had
That
to
I
wait.
said why I said that.
I had
Wow,
to wait for you to tell me that.
I'm disappointed in you too.
Yeah.
Um,
This one is from Villa Park. Both of these guys are in the FA Cup semifinals. It could be a potential FA Cup final matchup preview of that. Villa will of course have an eye on PSG in the midweek for the Champions League.
That's what I was gonna say. Is Villa?
yeah,
Villa's tough to beat at home. However,
yes.
they have gone FA Cup midweek weekend PSG.
Yeah.
So they're going to be, and rightly so. Unai's going to be planning for PSG. He's got to.
Yeah.
He's got to try. I don't have the table in front of me, but I don't think it's not impossible. But things aren't looking good on getting into Champions League on their own merit. Correct.
They need some help, but they're close. Right now, as of when we're recording this podcast, they're only 3 points off of fifth, which is what we're assuming. It could be
not impossible.
Full disclosure, people who are listening, the numbers could be different when you're listening on Friday. But yeah, I think the important point to think about is the fact that Villa will have an eye towards PSG, and so maybe some of those players get hooked at 60 minutes or at halftime and don't get the second half, or don't only get 60 minutes, and so Forest on the other hand will have an empty midweek where they can kind of go for it a little bit harder. And I really do think like Forest are in the Champions League spots right now. Like if they can get a win here, like they're going to start feeling really strong about their chances to do it. And so yeah, I think it's more likely than not that because of the Champions League that Villa aren't willing to go as hard in this game. I could see a draw here being a very, very likely result.
yeah, that's probably where it will end up. Which would, again, I'm for. Helps me.
Good for you.
Be great for me. Anything that's not a Forest dub helps me.
It's always so predictable with Brad.
It's always so predictable with James. Wait a second. In Tuesday's release, Everton's beating Liverpool.
Yeah, but I think everyone was aware with the way in which I said that. I'm not out here predicting that Fulham are going to beat Liverpool at Craven Cottage on Sunday.
For the chaos, for what it's worth, the same way I said United's going to beat City is the same way you said Everton's going to beat Liverpool.
If you want to see, though, if I do pick Fulham to beat Liverpool, you can do that in our Discord, and you can get your picks in for all of round 31 in our Discord. Join the description for the Discord is in the link of this video. You can get your picks in if you think who's going to win, who's going to lose, and what draws there will be. Get those picks in maybe Saturday morning or so, and we'll get you added to the spreadsheet. We'll do a big deep dive next week as to figuring out where everybody's at. Until then, hit us up on social media. That guy's at KSBradG. Down below, it's at Whiteheart_Sean. I'm at James Tiffany. Collectively, we are at Redcard_Radio. And reach out to us if you need us. And thanks so much for listening. Hope to see you back next week. And enjoy the football this weekend. We will talk to you soon.